Be honest, how many times have you found yourself secretly rooting for the villain? Whether it's the Joker's chaotic brilliance, Loki's mischievous charm, or even Thanos believing he's saving the universe, villains often steal the show. But why are we so obsessed with the bad guys? Stick around, because the psychology behind this will blow your mind. Welcome to Psyche Corner, the place where we decode the hidden psychology behind movies, behavior, and the human mind. Let's start with the basics. Villains do what we wish we could sometimes do. They break rules, they challenge authority, and they live without apology. Psychologists call this the forbidden fruit effect. We're naturally drawn to things we can't have, or in this case, behaviors we'd never dare to act out. Take Loki, for example. He's selfish, arrogant, and unpredictable, but he's also charming. He taps into a side of us that wants to push boundaries without caring about consequences. Watching him feels liberating because it's safe. We're not the ones facing the punishment he is. This safe exploration lets us vicariously experience rebellion. We get the thrill of breaking the rules without any of the real-world mess. It's like a psychological joyride. Think about it. Our daily lives are governed by social norms, responsibilities, and the fear of judgment. Villains throw all of that out the window. They act on pure impulse and desire, and a part of us buried deep down finds that incredibly appealing. They represent a fantasy of total freedom, and watching them on screen is the closest we can get to it. Next up, the power factor. Humans are wired to respect power. Villains radiate control. Think about Darth Vader. His calm, commanding presence makes everyone fall silent. Or Thanos, who snapped his fingers and changed the fate of the universe. Villains show us what ultimate control looks like. And here's the kicker. Our brains actually respond to this. Research in psychology shows that people are often drawn to dominant personalities because they signal strength and security. Deep down, we might not like their morals, but we admire their certainty. In a world full of uncertainty, someone who acts with absolute conviction, even if for the wrong reasons, is captivating. Their confidence is almost hypnotic. They don't second-guess themselves. They have a goal and pursue it relentlessly. This unwavering drive taps into a primal part of our psyche that associates dominance with survival. While the hero is often burdened by doubt and moral dilemmas, the villain is a force of nature, and there's a strange, magnetic appeal to that kind of raw, unfiltered power. We're mesmerized by their ability to impose their will on the world. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Carl Jung, the famous psychologist, introduced the idea of the shadow self. This is the part of us we hide, our anger, jealousy, selfishness, and even our desire for revenge. Villains bring this shadow to life. The Joker? He's chaos incarnate. He represents what happens if you let go of all rules and just embrace destruction. Watching him isn't just entertainment. It's like staring into a mirror of the parts of ourselves we pretend don't exist. And here's the truth. We don't just fear the villain. We recognize ourselves in them. These characters give a face to our darkest impulses. By watching them, we can confront our own shadow in a controlled environment. It's a form of psychological catharsis. The villain acts out the rage we've suppressed or the envy we never admit to. This recognition doesn't mean we are evil. It means we are human. We all have a dark side, and seeing it personified on screen allows us to acknowledge it without having to act on it. It's a safe way to understand the full spectrum of our own humanity, both the light and the dark. Here's why so many modern villains are unforgettable. Their backstories. Killmonger in Black Panther wasn't just evil, he was shaped by injustice, loss, and pain. Magneto from X-Men, a Holocaust survivor who vowed never to be powerless again. When movies show us a villain's trauma, suddenly they're not just monsters, they're humans. And psychology tells us that empathy is one of the strongest emotional connectors. We may not agree with their choices, but we understand their pain. And that understanding bonds us to them. A well-written backstory turns a simple antagonist into a complex, tragic figure. Their villainy becomes a twisted consequence of their suffering. This makes us ask, if I had gone through that, what would I have become? It complicates our moral judgment. We start to see their motivations not as pure evil, but as a distorted quest for justice or a desperate attempt to prevent their own pain from happening again. This empathetic connection is powerful. It makes the villain relatable, and in some cases, even sympathetic. We're no longer just watching a bad guy. We're watching a broken person. So why can't we take our eyes off villains, even when they're terrifying? Because they challenge the hero and they challenge us. Heroes often represent who we should be, moral, just, disciplined. But villains represent who we could be if we let go of rules and unleashed our hidden desires. They force us to confront uncomfortable questions. Would you lie, steal, or even worse, if it meant saving someone you love? How far would you go for justice, revenge, or survival? Villains turn morality into a gray area, and that gray area is where our fascination lives. They are the ultimate what if. They push the boundaries of the story and our own moral compass. By presenting a compelling alternative worldview, they make the hero's journey more meaningful. The hero's victory isn't just about defeating an enemy. It's about proving that their moral code can withstand the ultimate test. Villains make us think, question, and reflect on our own values. They are the friction that creates the narrative spark, keeping us glued to our screens, eager to see which side will prevail and why. At the end of the day, we don't just love villains because they're scary or cool. We love them because they reveal us. They expose our hidden shadows, our craving for power, our empathy for pain, and the thrill of breaking rules we'd never dare to in real life. So next time you find yourself secretly cheering for the villain, don't feel guilty. It's not just entertainment, it's psychology. This is Psyche Corner. If you enjoyed today's breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Who's your favorite villain of all time and why? I'll be reading your answers.